going on, guys? I'm Joe, and today I'm here to do a very special kind of video, a very different video from what I've done before. I was tagged by my good friend Rachel Wagner for the May the Force Be With You tag. It was for Star Wars Day, which was a couple weeks ago. Better late than never? Star Wars The Force Awakens has been out for a few months or so, but it's still in a lot of people's minds, and I'm still in some ways developing my thoughts on it, but safe to say I still think it's a great movie. And hey, who doesn't like talking about Star Wars, right? Minus the Star Wars haters. But today I'm here to answer a series of questions that are part of the May the Force Be With You tag. I'm going to do both of these tags, and I had to really think about this. These are some really good questions, and really hard to figure out what exactly my answers were, because I want to try to give my own insights as best as I can and try to make them unique in their own ways. I don't want to give like typical answers all the time, but I'll try. So the first question is, how many of the Star Wars films have you seen in theaters so far? I've seen about 4 of them. A New Hope, which was in 1997 during the re-release of A New Hope. Then I saw Attack of the Clones with my dad. Yeah, I know. Then I saw Revenge of the Sith when it came out. I saw it twice in theaters because I had a really good time with it at that point. And then of course I saw Force Awakens about 5 times in the theaters. I've never seen the original 3, all of them anyway, in a theatrical release. I would love to see it in a theatrical release though. That I think would be kind of cool. If they just didn't do the special edition changes on there too. Hopefully. What action sequence in any of the films is your favorite? Wow, that's a really good question. There's so many great action sequences in this entire saga. Even the prequels have some kind of cool action sequences, I would say. I mean, there's the pod race sequence, the Coruscant chase, I would say, the opening space battle above Coruscant. I think those are kind of cool in their own ways, even if they're a bit flashy and too glossy and everything, and the characters don't really look that concerned. They are kind of cool in their own ways, on a superficial level, at least for me. Then you get to the original trilogy, which you got the TIE Fighter attack on the Falcon, the attack on the Death Star, the Battle of Hoth, but probably some of the best action sequences, at least for me, would probably be in Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens. My 2 favorite Star Wars movies, believe it or not. You got the space battle above Endor, you got the speeder bike chase, which is probably my favorite one in that movie. But then you got the sail barge sequence, where Luke is using his lightsaber to fight Jabba's thugs. Then you got The Force Awakens, which, wow. Probably my favorite one is the Millennium Falcon escaping from the TIE Fighters on Jakku. That is so much fun, and mostly because it was so awesome to see the Millennium Falcon come back again. That ship's garbage! The garbage will do. And you just see the Falcon, yes! People were going nuts when that happened. I didn't see it coming, and I just exploded with joy. Oh, God, my jaw still drops every time I watch that scene. I've watched that scene many times. The speeder bike chase and the Millennium Falcon escape on Jakku. Given a chance to own a droid in the real world, what kind would you like? You know, BB-8 is a really tempting choice. R2-D2. You just want to give him a hug, and especially when 3PO is really mean to him. There's a couple times in A New Hope where I just go, oh my God, come on! He's loyal, especially to Luke Skywalker. You can't not have that droid around. Which score piece do you feel fits the scene perfectly? The biggest one for me is the binary sunset scene, where Luke looks out onto the twin sunset, and he's feeling that sense of despair and loneliness. He wants something better than what he has on Tatooine, and that whole music, and it just plays on the whole idea of the character of Luke Skywalker. He has that sense of adventure. He wants to go out for something greater. I felt that way many times, and I think we all felt like that at some point in life, where we want something better than our normal routines. Which Star Wars actor role outside of the Star Wars movies do you like the most? Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones. That's a pretty obvious answer. But he's also great as Dr. Richard Kimball in The Fugitive, the President in Air Force One. Get off my plane. And he's also really, really great in Regarding Henry. If you have not seen Regarding Henry, check it out. It's a very different kind of character that Harrison Ford usually plays. But I would have to say it's Mark Hamill as the voice of the Joker. I mean, it's a voiceover thing, I know, but hey, voice acting still counts as acting. Mark Hamill's Joker voice, he's great. And his laugh is just perfect. He's my favorite Joker, right next to Heath Ledger's Joker. I don't care if it's live action or not. To me, they're both equally great. Which expanded universe character, canon or non-canon, do you wish to see on the big screen? You see, I'm not really familiar with the expanded universe lore. I mean, I did a little research on it. I've read maybe 1 or 2 of the books when I was in 6th grade, like Lost City of the Jedi, The Glove of Darth Vader, stuff like that, but mostly it comes from the video games, particularly Jedi outcast. That does count as expanded universe lore, in my book anyway. I would like to see Kyle Katarn. I think that's how you say his name. He's a different kind of character than what you usually see in a Star Wars movie. He is a mercenary who becomes a Jedi in a way. He's trained under Luke Skywalker in the new Jedi Order. If you could recast one character in the films, who would you replace with him or her? Hayden Christensen's too obvious. I don't want to keep... Look, he's been beaten up by many critics many times over, so I'm not even going to bother. And I don't really think it's the guy's fault, because I don't really think even an Oscar-winning actor could pull that off. I hate to say this. It would be Padme. I mean, I really like Natalie Portman, but she was just so flat and so bland that I was just wondering, why the hell does this lady even fall in love with Anakin? And when she's not all smiley and, "Oh, Annie, you make me smile," she's just sitting there like this. She has the blandest expression on her face, like a robot. Who would I replace her with? Maybe Kobe Smulders from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. She plays Agent Maria Hill. She's also known for How I Met Your Mother. I don't really know her that well outside of the Marvel Cinematic Universe as an actress, but I can kind of see her as Padme. Maybe not someone who's absolutely super, super attractive. I mean, she is attractive in a different kind of way. And she does prove to be a very formidable character in the MCU. She can hold her own very well. So I could see her maybe doing something like that. Maybe if they just rewrite the dialogue that George Lucas wrote, make it actually a bit more engaging than just go, "I truly, deeply love you." Which character do you feel left us too soon? This is the obvious answer, Darth Maul. He was promoted to be the Darth Vader of the prequel trilogy. He's a character that looks similar to Darth Vader, he's going to give us memories, and he's on all the promotional material, but then he turns out to be, excuse the word, a shit character with no character whatsoever. And he's just killed off like that. He killed Qui-Gon Jinn. He could have just taken off right there. And you could have had him and Obi-Wan encounter each other in the sequels, making it a lot more riveting. Similar to Darth Vader and Luke facing off against each other throughout the original trilogy. What is your honest opinion of the Family Guy Blue Harvest trilogy? Never seen it. And I'm not a really big Family Guy person. What is your favorite alien species and why? It's too obvious, the Wookiees. I mean, Chewbacca's very loyal. He's always there. In a way, it's like a dog. A very loyal dog. You always want them at your side. They'll be there for you no matter what. And they will give you the biggest hug you'll ever have, and you're not going to complain. So yeah, it's the Wookiees. I almost said Ewoks. They're not too bad either. Just shut up. Which planet in the entire Star Wars galaxy would you want to live on? Look, I'm not counting the movies for this, alright? I mean, maybe I am, but I would like to get a look at Coruscant. I am what you call a wannabe New Yorker. I've always wanted to live in New York City, experience the city life and all that stuff. Coruscant is, I would say, in a way, like the New York City of the Star Wars universe. You see all these various places, like the Industrial District, and even in, like, expanded universe lore, like the video games in particular, like Star Wars Bounty Hunter, you get a little more in-depth look at it. You see the Entertainment District, where it's all flashy, kind of like Times Square, or the Financial District, and you hear of these gangs running around, handing out drugs like death sticks. I mean, I don't do drugs. I'm not going to smoke death sticks, but you want to go home and rethink your life. It looks like the New York City of the Star Wars universe, and I am a wannabe New Yorker, like I said, so I would like to see Coruscant, try to get a look at a feel of what that place is like. If you want to hate on me for that, go right ahead. Do you feel that the Star Wars-Star Trek rivalry serves a purpose today? Absolutely not. I'm not a huge Star Trek fan. I've only seen Wrath of Khan and J.J. Abrams' Star Trek movies, and I think all three of those are pretty good, and especially J.J. Abrams' Star Trek movies. The Trekkies can complain about those movies all they want, but I think they're a lot of fun. And it's similar to the rivalry like Marvel versus DC, or the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man versus the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, or Ben Affleck versus Christian Bale Batman. It's just really pointless, and I don't really think that does anything worthwhile except just vilify the other side, if that's the right word. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Star Trek, but I do have a respect for it because I recognize its significance. How did you discover Star Wars? My dad showed me the movies on VHS tape before they were turned into these special editions. I watched those endlessly, almost all the time. I can't remember the first time I ever saw Star Wars because I was about 6 or 7 years old, and it basically existed within my conscious memory, so I don't remember my first reaction to the I am your father bit, nor do I remember how I responded to Vader being unmasked and you see what he looks like underneath. What was the first Star Wars film you saw in theaters? A New Hope. In 1997. That was the first Star Wars movie ever. I remember going to see it. I don't remember the whole experience, but I do remember images, really, of seeing Darth Vader on screen and all that good stuff. Who is your favorite Star Wars character / actor? Oh my god, there's so many. Especially the newer characters. You got people like Rey. I like Rey. Call her Mary Sue all you want. I love Rey. And Daisy Ridley, she was great. Oscar Isaac as Poe Dameron, he's pretty cool. I mean, there's not a whole lot to that character at this point. Hopefully he'll get fleshed out more in the sequels. John Boyega as Finn, awesome. And he's a very different kind of character than what we've had in Star Wars. He's a stormtrooper turned good guy. Darth Vader's cool because he's methodical and he's calculating. But also, I like the whole idea of when you see underneath that mask and you hear that he is Luke's dad, it shows you that he's a damaged person underneath that costume. Okay, the prequels kind of made that not so interesting, but I do like the whole concept behind that. I have 3. Harrison Ford, Han Solo, that's the obvious choice. Smuggler, a jerk, arrogant, who only cares about money, but has a heart of gold underneath. And also in The Force Awakens, spoilers for The Force Awakens if you still haven't seen this by now, he failed as a father to Kylo Ren, his son, Ben Solo. And the way his character ends up in that movie, it's emotionally powerful. And since I mentioned Kylo Ren is in my top 3. People will say that he's just a big wimp. Congratulations. That's the whole point. In comparison to Darth Vader's introduction in A New Hope, you actually see a more humanized villain who's actually struggling between the dark side and the light. He's a guy with nothing to lose and everything to prove, and he's trying to live up to the image of his grandfather, the dark side of his grandfather's image. What exactly were you expecting him to be? I mean, were you really... Like, when he was taking off his mask, were you really expecting him to take it off and just look all scarred up and be like, well, I'm the bad guy, ooh. Really? You really were expecting that? Come on. I might do a video on Kylo Ren at some point. I think I might do a video responding to the criticisms that he's gotten and my own insights. Can't say for certain when, but one day I would like to. And probably my third and probably my most favorite, it's Luke Skywalker. A lot of people don't really seem to like Luke Skywalker. I don't know why. People will argue that, like, oh, he's just a whiny brat. That's kind of the whole point. He doesn't have an exciting life on Tatooine. And plus, in Empire Strikes Back, I've seen people complain about, oh, he's just even more of a whiny brat with his training with Yoda. Listen, guys, I've been through military training. It's not easy. It takes a toll on you right here, and emotionally. And he's got all this weight on his shoulders. He's trying to be the last remaining Jedi in the galaxy against the Empire. And he has very little supplies on Dagobah. And Yoda is really, really pushing him to his limits. And that's kind of a similar thing how I went through in basic training. It's like, this is really hard, and I don't know if I can do it. And when you finally see him become a Jedi Knight in Return of the Jedi, it's very satisfying. And for him to actually turn down the Emperor's temptations and go, you failed, Your Highness. I am a Jedi, like my father before me. Always puts a smile on my face. Luke's one of us. He's our fellow human being. He yearns for something greater than what he's got on Tatooine. That's why he's my favorite Star Wars character. Next to Han Solo and Kylo Ren, and probably one of my all-time favorite fictional characters. And I can't wait to see where he goes in episodes 8 and 9. What's your favorite lightsaber battle? I think it's tied to 2. The final confrontation between Luke and Vader in Return of the Jedi. I mean, there's so much emotion going on in there. Luke is trying to bring his father back to the good side while also trying to resist the temptations from the Emperor. And that great moment where he's hiding in the shadows, half of it's in the dark, half of it's in the light. He's conflicted at that moment. And Vader goes, if you will not turn to the dark side, then perhaps she will. Never! And when he cuts off Vader's hand, he realizes that he's turning into Darth Vader. And he says to the Emperor, I'll never turn to the dark side. Which, by the way, thank you, God, that Luke was not the bad guy in Force Awakens. Thank God. And it all ends up with him, Vader, turning on his master to save his son's life. That's why I love it. And you just go, oh, yes, finally, Darth Vader's actually a good person underneath that mask. He's not just some cold-hearted asshole. Excuse me. And of course, you got the lightsaber fight at the end of The Force Awakens. Rey, Finn, and Kylo Ren. I mean, Finn is not meant to be a Jedi, but you still root for him when you take up the lightsaber. That lightsaber, it belongs to me. Come get it. And when he does that, I just have this feeling of, get him! And of course, he gets his butt kicked. But then when Rey catches the lightsaber, people were applauding when I first saw this, and even me, I just went, and it's visceral. It's not flashy, it's not choreographed like it was in the prequels. Like the original trilogy, a little more so in the original trilogy, I would say, but it feels very gritty and more realistic. And I actually feel like I started to sweat a little bit because you see the sparks flying off of the lightsabers, especially when they get close to the person's face. You just go, oh my god, I'm feeling the heat there, baby. And probably the best part of that whole fight, you need a teacher! I can show you the ways of the Force! The Force. Those are my two favorite lightsaber fights. Can't get enough of them. What is your favorite installment of the Star Wars score? I would say the Throne Room title, and also the ending credits sequence, where it goes da 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 da. Just makes me feel like a kid again. What is your most hated character? Do you really need me to answer that? Do you really need me to? Well, no, actually, I mean, Jar Jar, I don't hate him as much as others do, but, to be honest with you, I prefer him not to be there. Anakin I kinda hate. Padme is probably would be my number one. I'm sorry, Natalie. You're a great actress, you're an awesome lady, but man, was your character so terrible. What is your favorite chapter in the Star Wars Expanded Universe? Again, I'm not really familiar with the Expanded Universe lore. I've only read 1 or 2 books when I was a kid, so I'm not really familiar with the Expanded Universe, so I don't have a favorite. Do you own anything of Star Wars outside of the films, and what is your favorite? Of course I do. Do you see this thing right here? An Imperial shuttle, and an A-Wing, and a gunship, and a TIE bomber, and a First Order Stormtroop carrier, and Kylo Ren's shuttle, and the Millennium Falcon. I would show you all of them right now, but for time purposes, I don't want to spend all my time showing you each one. But let's take a close look at this baby right here. This is what dreams are made of. Okay, getting too weird here. And if you've been watching my videos for a while, you know that I own a Kylo Ren helmet, and I also own a Stormtrooper helmet, and also, some of the money I got from my tax returns, a First Order Stormtrooper helmet! I am proud to own this thing. FN2187. Submit your blaster for inspection. Oh, that was Captain Phasma, but this is not a Captain Phasma helmet. And I own a few shirts, and various other merchandise, and all that stuff. And posters. These 2. Probably my favorite is the Lego X-Wing fighters. I have 2 that I used to own from when I was a kid. It was the older Star Wars Lego sets. Then I got Poe Dameron's X-Wing right there. Have you ever dressed up as a Star Wars character, and who was it? Of course I have. I've dressed up as Kylo Ren, just with the mask and the lightsaber. I dressed up as a Stormtrooper. For the night I saw Star Wars, I couldn't wear my helmet in the theater. I just had to wear it in the lobby. Then I had to leave it behind, unfortunately, because of security reasons. But I also dressed up as an X-Wing pilot for Halloween last year, as you could say either Luke Skywalker or Poe Dameron. Hey, I'll take either one. What is your favorite quote from the films? Oh my god, there are so many great lines. I got 2 exchanges. Well, why don't you use your divine influence and get us out of this? I beg your pardon, General Solo, but that just wouldn't be proper. Proper? It's against my programming to impersonate a deity. Or you. And the whole time, you should see the look on Mark Hamill's face. He's just trying so hard not to laugh, it's priceless. My other favorite, Solo, we'll figure it out. We'll use the Force. That's not how the Force works. Oh really? You're cold? Harrison Ford is just priceless. What is your favorite Star Wars reference in pop culture? Oh, here it is. Okay. This is a spoiler warning for Captain America Civil War. If you haven't seen this movie by now, don't listen to what I'm about to say here. Just look away. In fact, I'll put a spoiler warning tag at the bottom of this video. Once you see that disappear, then you'll be set to go. So, here it goes. It's the airport sequence when Ant-Man turns into a giant and all the other Avengers are trying to figure out how to stop him, particularly from Iron Man's side. And Spider-Man's going, hey guys, you ever see that really old movie, Empire Strikes Back? Tony, how young is this kid? I don't know, I didn't carbon date him, he's on the young side. You know that part? When they're on the snow planet? With the walking thingies? I was dying. 2 of my favorite franchises of all time, Star Wars and Spider-Man, are referenced in one movie. I could not stop laughing and smiling. It was so priceless. Okay, spoiler warning's over. That's my favorite reference of Star Wars in pop culture. And the final question, who would you love to see appear in the brand new Star Wars trilogy? I guess it really depends on the actor and the role that I would want to see them play, or that maybe the studio or the filmmakers are considering them to play. I mean, this is kind of a typical answer coming from me. For those of you who know, I'm a big Tobey Maguire fan. I would like to see Tobey Maguire in a Star Wars movie, maybe as like an Imperial officer of some kind, like a First Order officer, kind of like General Hux, or maybe as a mercenary of some kind, or maybe even an officer in the Resistance. Actresses, well, Jennifer Lawrence I'd like to see in a Star Wars movie. Bitch all you want about her, but I would like to see her in a Star Wars movie. Maybe people like Kate Mara, Grant Gustin maybe? I could see him maybe trying a Star Wars kind of role. Stephen Amell would be kind of cool too. Really, it depends on who the actor is and what kind of role they would play. Well, those are all my answers to the questions for the Star Wars tag. Thank you, Rachel, for tagging me in this. I had a lot of fun talking about this stuff. And Star Wars fan that I am, I can't get enough of it sometimes. And thankfully, The Force Awakens has reignited that love in me. I'm going to tag at least 2 people. I will tag 2 more people to pass it on, get their insights. I'm not sure how big of fans of Star Wars they are, but I would like to see what they think of the Star Wars franchise in general. I'm going to tag Matthew Aaronholt, who's been a big supporter of mine for a few months now. Thanks, Matt. I'm going to tag 22 Tiger Dude. He and I did a little discussion about Star Wars in our podcast last year, like best films of 2015 so far. And I was part of a series of reviews with him for the Star Wars movies leading up to Force Awakens. So I'll tag 22 Tiger Dude and Matthew Aaronholt. Those are who I'm going to tag. So thank you guys for watching this video, and hopefully you've enjoyed some of my answers and insights on those questions. And I would like to know your thoughts. Like, what's your favorite quote from Star Wars? Who's your favorite Star Wars character? What musical piece do you like from it? Or whatever. You know, let me know what you think in the comments down below. And stay tuned for my review of Uncharted 4. I can't wait to talk to you guys about that. I'm really excited. Finished that recently, and whoa, that was fun. So stay tuned for that. Thanks guys for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.